Welcome to the NRT Now podcast, giving you the latest in Christian music news, topics, and artist interviews directly from the largest Christian music site online, newreleasetoday.com. Now, here's your host, Jake.
Hey, welcome to episode 9. We are doing something a little different for this episode, just kind of a bonus episode. We are doing the next big thing, the September of 2019 edition. And to help me out, I have my friend John Tibbs here to help co-host. Thanks for joining me here, John.
Yes, sir, man. It's so good to talk to you.
Absolutely. So, John and I met, and we figured out we had a connection very randomly. You were on tour with Rivers and Robots.
Yeah, down in Texas.
Yep, in Denton. And there's a couple of pictures floating around before we were sweating to death. I think I lost about 2 pounds that day.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to kind of give people an idea. So this was at the beginning of August, right? And all that heat was kind of, taking over the U.S. I believe the actual temperature before the index had been 110, and the AC in this place had gone out. And there wasn't an empty space in there. It was, out of tickets, completely packed. So a couple hundred people in there, and there wasn't any AC, and it was brutal.
Yeah. I mean, it was an amazing show all the way around.
But it was so hot.
Oh, it was bad.
Yes.
And I feel bad for those people too, because you know that's not what their intention was. I mean, sometimes things just happen.
Yeah, totally. It hadn't been on, definitely hadn't been on anybody in particular. Sometimes it just happens, but yeah, definitely turned out to be a good memory. That's for sure.
Yeah. So, how many shows did you have with Rivers and Robots? It was 15, 20-ish?
No, so we had kind of popped in and out. We did a handful. That weekend in particular, we were in. It was Tulsa, Denton, Houston, and Austin. They had a few shows before that one, before they hopped back over the pond. And I was kind of out on tour and then joined them. And then after those dates, I kind of headed out and did a couple other dates. So, but man, they were just awesome people. And it was so good to spend time with them. I was actually talking to them today about hopefully doing stuff again soon.
Very nice. And so I didn't ask at the time, but were you the one that had to drive everywhere just to be on the right side of the road, or did they share some of that responsibility?
No, actually, I didn't do any of it. I'm a horrible person, but no. So, they obviously had to pick up a car at the airport, and they had picked up a car a few days before, and it's, because of insurance and all that, you have to be there. So I didn't have to carry that burden at all.
Oh, awesome. So just sit back for the ride.
Yes. And, they were good about it, but I think they were a little bit stressed out about, having this big excursion in Dallas, Texas at 2:00 in the afternoon. I think that was a different experience.
I don't blame them one bit, because I'm like that myself in a normal sized car at any time of the day. So I don't think that's exclusive to, British driving on the wrong side of the road for them.
Not at all.
I think that's just Dallas driving to begin with.
Exactly. It's crazy.
All right, so tell us a little bit about John Tibbs. As we're kind of talking, I believe you mentioned that you're a graduate of Anderson University from Indiana.
Yeah, so man, I've been doing music now full time since 2013. So and I would say I've had a career that's really kind of it just continues to have different eras. So I started out independently, and I put out an EP. People didn't have to buy it. They just entered their email and their area code, and it kind of took off. And so out of all that, I started touring a ton. So as an independent artist, I'd done, 2 EPs, and I was touring a ton from January to January. I was going about 160 concerts or so. Audrey Assad at that time, she had just gone independent, and she was going out on her own tour and heard the EP and asked if I would come out and open up, which was such a great opportunity. And so that was kind of how I, kicked everything off. And of course, after that, I did do an album under a record company, and they were just awesome to me. But by the end of that, I enjoyed the experience. I gained a ton out of it in a lot of different aspects. But it was just kind of time to kind of go back to being indie. I just enjoy the direct connection from artist to listener, and I also enjoy kind of having the ability to kind of pick and choose, of course, all the songs I do and how often I do it. And so, it's just been a really cool chapter. So I put out a 8-song EP in 2007 independently, 2 singles in 2018, and we have a bunch of other songs that are about to come out.
And so, if I'm doing my math correctly, and in previous episodes, we know that this is kind of a problem about doing math correctly. But I think that would put some of this towards in your college range. Some of the stuff in 2007, kind of close to college, that era in your life.
Oh yeah, 2007. 2007, I was still in high school. So I started doing music full time back in 2013. So that was after college. Yep.
Gotcha. So it kind of spanned all the way through, high school, college, and now, full time vocationally.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm a pastor's kid, so I started playing the piano when I was just a little kid, and helping out at church. But and then when I started attending school there in Anderson University, I was on staff at a church, and then I started touring full time in 2013, and it's just been so great. At the time I was based in Indiana, and in 2015 we packed everything up and moved down to Nashville. I honestly had kind of been, I don't think against completely, but hesitant to ever move down to Nashville. It's just a big town, kind of hard to get into. But at the time, I had a deal, and I was still in the studio down here doing an album, and I was going out on a tour where it's about, I think, like almost 60 dates, and it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Get home Monday, leave Tuesday again. And I was still in the studio, so I was like, I'm never gonna come home. So we ended up packing everything up and moving down January of 2015, and it has just been so great. Awesome. It's definitely home for us.
Just to back up a little bit, so when we met at the concert, we found out that we had a connection linking to Anderson in Indiana,
yes.
To the Anderson University. He was in the youth group. One of your friends, Logan, we both knew, pretty well. It's been a while since I've talked to Logan. So Logan, if you happen to be hearing this, hi. Thanks for introducing me to John somewhat without knowing.
Hey, Logan. Yes. So, I think kind of how it goes is you and I were both attending a church that's connected to the Church of God Anderson, but I was in Pennsylvania and you were in Casper, Wyoming. So yep. It's pretty cool how so many different things can connect people.
Yeah, and just completely, it was just an offhanded comment that just took a rabbit trail to finding out we know some of the same people.
I know. Actually, a handful of the same people. Actually, the youth pastor who I had when I was in junior high ended up going to Casper to be your all's youth pastor just after his time there in Pennsylvania, which is kind of insane if you think about, of all the states and of all the churches. And, you and I didn't have any personal interaction before talking at this, gig. And it just kind of so happened that all of those things are tied together. So
that pastor
pretty
that
awesome.
moved, was that Justin?
That was for Iannucci.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah. So he was before my time there.
So. Okay, gotcha.
So
he was youth pastor I had when I was in 6th and 7th grade, and then he moved out to Casper.
So I mean, it's just such a crazy thing how God connects people. Like, I think Disney wrote a song about it that I think would just be bad if we even tried to go there. It would be stuck in people's heads forever. So we're just not even going to touch that.
We're going to do that to them. Yeah,
that's just
walk away slowly.
Yep. So you have a new single. You're talking about some stuff coming out. You have a new single coming out Friday. This is actually that's 2 days from when we're recording this here.
So today's September. So today's September 18th, and this single will be out 2 days from now, September 20th.
So, before we kind of talk about that a little bit more, I'd like to take a little bit of a listen to it here, like a sneak peek.
Wild things, like the dirt and sea, or the young and free, are we made to be? Wild things, wild things.
So that's actually kind of my first listen on it as well, and I'm digging it.
Oh, thanks, man. So excited to get it out there.
And absolutely. I mean, I would be too if that's what I'm putting out. So take us through a little bit of kind of the process. Like you went back indie. Take us through a little bit through the life of an indie artist and the release cycles, and kind of what it takes to get to release day. Like we have on Friday.
Yeah. So I mean, I would say I can be pretty hands-on, and so like I said, I had a good experience at the company I was signed with, but I was like, man, I would really enjoy being kind of hands-on in every single aspect. And there's a lot that goes into creating a song and getting it out there. So of course, the whole origin of a tune, and then of course everything that happens in the studio, and then you have all the artwork that comes from it, and then you have your strategy and execution of how to get it to people. And man, I think that the music business is constantly updating itself, and it's like I was talking about this the other day, just the fact that iTunes hadn't even existed before 2004. So the idea of going and downloading a single song hadn't even been an idea that people had just 15 years ago. And it's gotten to the point now where, the idea of downloading a song is almost extinct. And so the music business has changed and changed and changed itself. And that, to me, was the biggest appeal about going independent, because, essentially you have to cover your own costs, and you have to be the person that creates the ideas and execute them. Now I'll say this: I'm independent, but I'm not just doing it all by myself. I've got a team. So, we have people in our management office. There's a handful of them, and we have a partnership with a distribution company. And so that team there, is getting it to Apple and Spotify and Pandora and all of those outlets, and talking to the people there, trying to get it, added on different cool playlists and stuff like that. I also have a partnership with a digital ad company based out of Boston who handles all of our online ads. And then we have a partnership with a marketing company who, helps try to get us added onto other different sorts of pool day lists and PR opportunities and all of that stuff. So I'm independent in the sense that I'm kind of the person who is kind of in every detail and owns it and kind of comes up with all the ideas and all of that stuff. But I have a amazing team, and so that's super enjoyable. The idea of being indie to me was so appealing after my time at our company, because I was like, man, I can just kind of put together like the ideal team, and so that's what we've been able to do, and then just continue to update things. And so I did that EP, and then we did 2 singles last year, and this upcoming EP I am so excited about, and I'm really excited about how we're going to put it out there. So our debut single is coming out in September. Our second single is going to come out in October, and then we have a surprise Christmas single, which I have not told anybody about that yet. I was actually in the studio today doing it, so that's going to come out in December, and then single January, single February, and the whole EP's out in March. And so the idea is just to keep creating music that obviously I am proud of, and it's a personal story, but it's just like a chance to just keep getting it out there through all those outlets and hopefully encourage people.
Well, the December single is no longer a surprise for anybody listening. So.
I haven't told anyone that, but I just told all of y'all.
Yeah. So it's not we're all in the know now. We're in on the surprise. I love it. So I think it's safe to say that it's a little bit tougher as the indie artist because you don't have the machine behind you.
For sure.
Pushing. It's a little bit more effort on on your part.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's one of the things I love about having been on NRT for a while now. On staff at NRT now is, we love independent, we love indie artists. We love Christian music. In fact, we love Christian music so much that that's what we call our awards every year. Is we love Christian music awards.
Yeah,
it's pretty self-explanatory, and that just came out of nowhere. I'm gonna have to remember that. But so I'm really loving how we support the indie artist and kind of peel off to kind of what our intention for these pop-up episodes are. We're titling it The Next Big Thing, and so one of our hearts is to help promote and bring awareness to the indie artists along with all the artists on labels as well. So I would like to kind of take this a little bit farther and start talking about some other indie artists that are doing some awesome things. Is kind of the next big thing. Some people that you're liking, some of the people that you're working with, and I also asked our staff for some suggestions as well. So to just kind of have a next big thing conversation, our September edition.
Okay.
So,
love it.
One of the people that you brought up was Jervis Cambpell.
Jervis Cambpell, yeah. Amazing guy.
Kind of what's his genre? Tell us a little bit about kind of his style and stuff.
Yeah, so Jervis, so I first heard about Jervis this past summer. It was in July, and it was because I had a guy on tour who I believe they were in either a house together in Nashville or back in college. But so the story, as I understand about Jervis, is he moved to town a couple years ago, and he's just started putting out a handful of singles. So go to Spotify, check him out. He's just got a handful of singles out, but all of them are just so beautiful. And I think he's got a great kind of hybrid combination. It's like, all of his songs are beautiful, and the imagery stands out to me, but also it's definitely indie, but it's got a lot of pop elements to it that I dig. And that's a hybrid out there that's pretty hard to come by, and it's definitely hard to execute, and I just think he does awesome at it. So I've definitely been digging his tunes, in particular his song Garden. I love that song. It's beautiful.
And just to kind of clarify a little bit, I think, well, and I shouldn't say clarify. When we're talking about next big thing, kind of what I want to pull in as well is, some other artists that just haven't blown up. They may be on labels, but they just haven't blown up, and are still amazing artists that we still need to hear. Some of them that our staff. We'll get a little handful here. Brendan brought up Cochren and Company, which is amazing. He's Goatee, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
But
so I actually bumped into him this past summer as well. I was on tour and I did a concert that was actually at his church that he's on staff at. And so I bumped into him and was able to hop in at their church services Sunday AM that next day. And he is just as good of a guy off stage as he is on stage. And that guy is talented, man. He just goes after it. So yeah, that's a awesome artist to bring up.
A few more that Brendan came through. Joel Vaughn, Danielle Apicella. I hope that's right. Like part of the tough part about being the host here is like you don't always hear the names pronounced, so you're just winging it, and you just hope you don't offend somebody.
I'm sure no one's offended.
And then Thomas Iannucci, I think is how that's spelled.
Very cool.
I think he tried to make it tough on me. I think it was a challenge. Thanks, Brendan.
That's funny. Well, I actually haven't heard a handful of those guys, so I'll have to go check them out for sure.
And so we'll have the full list, both on Instagram and on our companion post as well. When this comes out, so we definitely want you to hear about them, but we also want you to go listen to them as well.
Yeah, I think. There is just song after song after song being put out these days, and there's a lot of great, excellent content that just doesn't ever get all the years on it that it, I believe, is earned. And so, yeah, definitely go check these people out, support them.
So, what's I'll give the floor back to you for another artist here that you're want to highlight.
Yeah, so I actually was just on tour with Eric out of the band Young Oceans. And man, we had such a great time together. Eric has been creating albums that I personally have just been deeply connecting with. I think since like 2015. And he has always been based in the Northeast. He was on staff at a church there. And he moved to Nashville about 2 years ago now, and he and I are in the same neighborhood. And go to like Amazon or Spotify or Apple, it's like, and if you pick up a certain artist, it'll pop up. You'll probably like this other artist, and his music kept popping up over and over and over. And I found out he was in town, so he and I hung out a couple times, really hit it off, and he actually co-composed a tune that is going to be on my upcoming EP. It'll be out in October, that I'm super excited about. But yeah, he and I had headed out on tour. We did a handful of dates there in Indiana, and just a extremely gifted person. And he creates gorgeous corporate worship that also ties deeply into the liturgical aspect of church and that experience. And he is kind of creating something that I think there is a major absence of out there. And it's just gorgeous. So yeah, if you've not heard Young Oceans, please go check them out.
Grace is introducing us to Cade Thompson. JJ is introducing us to West of Here. Those I was listening to those a little bit earlier today. West of Here is a little bit more ambient. Cade is kind of definitely within the CCM channel. Both very great artists. We brought in our kind of hip hop guy, Dwayne. One of our hip hop guys, I should say. Sorry, Josh. He brought in, or he's introducing us to Saint the Rapping Cop and Brett Raio, and I was only able to listen to those guys for just a little bit, but just awesome stuff in the CHH world. Those definitely have to be on one of my playlists.
Awesome.
And so one of the ones that we were talking about a little earlier, crosses over on ours as well. So I'll let you take this one here.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I definitely can't imagine saying this guy hasn't been heard of, because, I mean, he's just packing out, tour after tour. But Josh Garrels is a guy who just consistently makes heavy hitter album after album. And he is a gift to us all. I think he's been doing it, as I understand it, I think he's got 8 to 10 albums out. So, and I'm definitely a little bit impartial to him, because he's also based out of the Indiana area that I went to college at, and I've got a handful of guys that I'm tight with out of college that are touring out with him now, and apparently he's just such a great guy. But Josh put out a brand new album, man, it was a few months ago now, I think, probably June, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And in particular, I believe his kind of goal and attempt was to create like a kind of just honest conversation between him and Jesus, and it's a corporate worship album, but it's definitely different than a lot of corporate worship projects out there, and I just think it's gorgeous.
And
so, yes, if you haven't listened to Josh, please go check it out.
Yes, and Mark was the one of us, or the one of the staff that brought that through, and I mean that just is kind of a testament to Josh, is that came from multiple sources here.
All of us agree. Go listen to Josh Garrels if you haven't.
Braden brought through We the Kingdom, Allan Scott. Braden kind of took a little bit more the country route, or kind of
nice.
A little bit of country, kind of a little bit of folk, just kind of down that route. The Nesbitts and the McClures as well, is who he introduced us to. Like I said, very, very good albums. If you're down that route, the country persuasion, not always my cup of tea, but they're still good. They're still way good.
Awesome.
And so this is only scratching the surface of indie artists.
Sure.
And this is something that I'm wanting to do on a month-to-month basis, because there's just so much coming out. There's so many good artists. There's so much happening in the indie, and so many new artists kind of coming up that just doesn't always get the time that they deserve, that they need, that their music speaks to. So this was something that John and I cooked up over text, actually.
Yeah.
And I've loved just in the process of just listening to some of these artists, just kind of getting ready for the podcast here to record this episode. There's just so much that I haven't heard that's just great music that, I mean, it's incredible. Like, just so much that it's there, but we don't always see.
Totally.
So, like I said, we'll have the full list here on both the social media and the social media. I think I just
I'm
aged.
tracking with you.
Yeah. Wow. So, yeah, so we'll have that there in our companion post. Like I said, we definitely want you to, to listen and, just give these, indie artists some love, John included. And we are very excited for your singles to come out over the next few months and ultimately your EP.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. Yeah, if anybody is interested in keeping in touch, I am on the internet all too often, so would love to stay in touch on either Instagram or Facebook, and of course, check stuff out on YouTube and Spotify and Apple. I would love to stay in touch on there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the idea, and thank you for co-hosting.
Oh man, thank you so much. It was good to talk to you, Jake.